Good morning everyone, welcome back. This is week 28. This video is a little different because it's not what I planned on filming this week, but the video that we did have planned will not be ready till next week because Ethan went to Hawaii, so we can't really finish it, but it's all good. It's still going to be an interesting video. Today we are redoing kind of a video that I did early on in my 350Z ownership of reviewing what it's like and is it a good car to have as like a daily or first car, or is it livable to own a 350Z? Can you do everything you need in a car and still have a vehicle that's fun to drive? I'm redoing this video because I've had the car for almost over half a year now, and it's crazy to say that, but it's true. We've had the Z that long. It does not feel like that. It feels like yesterday that we went to San Diego to pick it up. So we're going to get into the video about that, but don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and as usual, hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get into that intro. Let's do it. Woo! Obviously the first question, which is pretty obvious, regards to the performance. Is it fun to drive? Yes. And now onto the downside of the car, or one of the bigger downsides of the car, is how is the storage? As one might guess, it's not great. And for instance, to demonstrate this, I have to take this table, which is 3 feet across, maybe 3 feet tall, to Goodwill, along with this bag. Now, I think you know what's going to happen. Obviously, the desk is not going to fit. It would fit in a Civic, an Accord, Subaru, Impreza. It all would fit in those cars. Now, granted, some of those are sedans and coupes, but this is also a coupe, but obviously it's not really meant to take stuff. It's more of a driving car. But it will fit this very tiny bag of clothes, which I will now demonstrate. Now, I must point out that that was quite literally all the cargo space that I have in the rear. When I open this, you guys are going to see that bag is at the limit. If anything is above this plastic piece, and for some reason this bulb, which contains the motor for the wiper, will interfere. And although it seems like there's a lot of room back here, there really isn't. I fit my camera bag right in these little corners up here, but that's about it. And then, I mean, you could probably fit 3 trash bags. I've fit like 3 backpacks back here comfortably. But besides that, this car just isn't built for storage, sadly, and that's just how it is. But, like I said, that's probably not what we're really concerned about. And the third, not the final, but the third part that we're going to go over is the interior. Is it a good interior of a car? Because obviously the interior is kind of important when you're driving this car daily. But let's check it out. Let's see what we got here. So starting off from the door, nothing crazy. You got your basic controls, automatic up and down mirrors, locking, unlocking, child lock for the one, you know, if you ever have a child in this car, which I pray to God you don't, because yeah, it's just not really built for that. You got a big disc for your speaker, nothing crazy. It's all plastic that scratches really easily, but you know, it's pretty fixable. This was repainted and fixed. Door handles, they tend to break a lot, but they're not horrible. They actually work pretty well. Mine have yet to fail. These things that also tend to break a lot, I have to replace mine. But they're not too expensive, and they actually, when they work, they're really good. Moving on, little note, there's a little Z right there for the door vent, which is kind of cool. Not super important, but kind of cool. Next, the cluster. Genuinely, this cluster is amazing. Shows you everything you want to know. Fuel and temp on this side, which this is nothing like crazy going on here, but everything is where you want it. Huge tack in the center. There's a shift light that will appear here when you can hit red line, and you can also set it using that gauge up there to whatever revolution you want for the light to come on. If it's hard to see, you might be able to see the square like right there underneath the rev that lights up. You can set it to whatever you want. So if you're just trying to have it for your daily drive, you can set it to 3 to 4 or wherever you want. You can honestly set it at 1, but then you'd have a red light flashing all the way up. Next up, you just have your, speedo, and that's normal. Mileage and all that shows down here. Trip counters on the bottom, nothing crazy. Blinkers, again, quality's not great. If you can see here, my light switch, it plays a little bit. Like literally, I can push it in and out. You should not be able to do that. But they work. Everything works. It doesn't break easily. The most common interior breaks are going to be in the door, but none of mine have broken except for the vent. To be completely honest, all this has worked. The windows work. Nothing's crazy. Moving on to the centerpiece, you have a shit ton of storage, but it's not huge storage. I've been over this previously. I've mentioned this many times. Right here, you got your center cubby, so nothing crazy, but it works. Then you have your DIN or single DIN, whatever thing you got. Clamp controls, shift knob, shifter, coin storage. I have rings in there. Random place. I'm assuming this is for cigarette packs. I don't actually know. I've never used this. It's very shallow. It has no point. Going to the passenger side, same shit over there. You just don't have a little hole thing right there. And now to the big and this is the biggest downfall of this interior. I know everything I've said might have seemed negative, but the interior of this car is actually quite nice and it has everything you need. The only real big downside are the cup holders. This one is broken. That's not my fault. I just haven't replaced it. Car came like this. That one works surprisingly well for smaller stuff. These, however, and I have to mention these because this is an early 350. These cup holders do not work. This little flap is so weak that when you put anything in there, it won't hold it. As you can see, there's already remnants of spilled drinks in there because this thing tips over all the time and you can't do anything about it. But besides that, you have more storage here. I fit my gloves and I think tire pressure gauge, and my AirPods, they all fit right in here. So that's not too bad. When it's down, it works really well. Then you got two cubbies back here. Again, I don't really use them for anything. They're there, they work. You got a weird outlet there, that's for the lights. And then you got another weird outlet in the passenger cell. So overall, the interior is quite good. I don't have any complaints about it. Seats are extremely comfortable. If you have these cloth little buckety ones, they bolster you well, they're comfy. I just did a 2-hour drive in these and they were very, very comfortable both ways. And then, final thing I didn't go over, the infamous 3-pod gauge system from Nissan. This has always been a thing in the Z's. I don't know why. I think it's cool. It's kind of unique. The left one will display you a shit ton of stuff like miles per gallon. You have a track timer. You can use it as your speed. I usually use it as a speed because it's digital. It's easier to look at, especially with my wheel. From my point of view, this is how my wheel looks most of the time, so you can't really see anything past up here for highway. And you have oil pressure. It's active, so whenever you increase speed or throttle response, it moves to whatever revolutions the engine's at. Usually it sits between 60 and 120 when I'm like just normally driving. The highest I've ever gotten is when full throttle, and it's been up right about there. So I don't know. Well, actually a little higher. I guess the camera didn't do that right. Right about there. And then you just have your voltage. It's important, but again, this is all stuff they probably could have thrown into that one left. But it's nice to have. I appreciate the oil pressure probably the most, but if I were to ever do like a revamp of these gauges, I would definitely replace the voltage one and just put like a AME or something. I don't know, a customizable one for sure for actual performance stuff. Oh, and one more last thing. These are little knee or leg bolsters for when you're hitting corners hard. They work. I mean, they're not huge, but they work. And with that, the interior is done. Overall, parts aren't super luxurious in here, but everything works. You have everything you need. And as from a driver's perspective, very comfortable, very accessible. It is pretty small. If I sit right up here, my head is pretty close to the ceiling, but I still have enough room. And I'm 6'1", so if that gives you a good reference, if you're under 6'1", you can fit. I'm sure you could probably fit a couple more inches in here. But the seat is all the way back, and my legs are at perfect length for the pedals. Clutch, brake, gas, blah blah blah. It's all right there. And my steering wheel's a little close with the quick release on it and everything, but it's not that huge of an issue, and if you can get around it, it's not too bad. Shifter is right in length, so overall interior is actually really well. Just don't expect luxurious quality. I'm sure you know this, but it's not like gonna break on you unless you abuse the fuck out of it. Everyone says the windows go out. Mine have yet to go out. My car has just hit 90k miles, so it's a little lower on the mileage side. But these cars are turning into kind of the next S chassis, so I guess, some of them aren't in the best condition and they're higher mileage, so you just gotta look out for that. But besides that, overall, the Z is in tip-top condition, and interiors are not bad. So let's move on to the final consensus of, is this car a good driver's daily first car whole kind of situation? Alright guys, so the final consensus on the 350Z, is it a good car that you can daily and have fun with and then go to the track in the same day? Yes, it is. 100% it is. After owning this thing for almost over half a year, I don't think there's one thing I can really complain about this car, except the cup holders. That is an actual complaint. Everything else I've kind of adapted to live with, whether it be the storage situation or just having two seats. It's honestly, it's all livable. You can get around it. You'll adapt very quickly. Unless you're like super stingy about that shit, I think you're gonna be okay. The cup holders are horrible. I know in the later generations they fixed the cup holder situation a lot more, but in the early DE models, it's not great. Just be mentally prepared for that. They suck. I honestly deal with that struggle all the time, but it's fine. Handling's amazing. On stock wheels and suspension, to me they're a little loose, but I like the way it's set up. You can still slide them pretty easily if you have a model with an LSD. Mine did not, which we're going to put an LSD in next week, so look out for that video. We'll be comparing an open diff to an LSD so that you guys know what to do when you want to go sideways. But overall, power is reasonable. You're not going to kill yourself. The manual is amazing. The transmissions are super fun to play through. And yeah, I mean, the interior is great. Can't really complain. And for the price they are, it's a really good bang for your buck, man. You can do a lot with them. And before they turn into the next S chassis, I recommend, if you have even considered possibly owning a Z, just go try it. I mean, they hold their value for what they are, and if you maintain it and take care of them, parts are relatively cheap still. And they're pretty reliable motors, and you can have a lot of fun with them. So I don't see these being a huge bank loss kind of thing. Like some S chassis are. It's just, you know, drifters and kids my age are starting to get their hands on more of these cars, and they're slowly fading away into either private collections or getting thrashed on track and then broken. So that's it, guys. 350Z, it's a great car. I mean, we've basically founded this channel around it. So alright, well, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like as per usual. Let's let that intro roll, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.